Hello, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Serenity Resource Connector. We continue our virtual hand holding session for prospective and existing entrepreneurs and self employed individuals. So, last episode, we had in this space representative from the Companies Office of Jamaica, and we looked at the difference between a business name registration and a company registration, what the process entails, the different ways you can set up your business, your company, and what the compliance process looks like so you can stay up to date and that your business can keep moving smoothly. But we also shared that that's not the end of the process, because for those who have already registered their business or company, you would have gotten a nice congratulations letter congratulating you on registering your business or your company. And then it went into telling you what are the next things that you need to do to maintain your relationship with the company's office. And that you're also to contact your tax office to look at the GCT and also your trade, get a trade license to do depending on the nature of the business that you're in. So for this week, our guests will be from the Tax Administration Department, specifically the Tax Education Unit, and the National Housing Trust Compliance Unit. And we're going to be talking about the how and why of tax and statutory compliance. Because if you remember the previous episode, and just in case you missed the previous episodes, we went into details as to the difference between statutory deductions and taxes because they're two totally different things. And so we want to get into that for this episode. But before we do that, let me thank the administrator for the Old Arbor Facebook group who graciously invited the Serenity Resource Connector to go live in their group. All we did was to reach out asking for the information to be shared to say that we go live on Thursdays, and we received an invitation to go live in the group, and we are really appreciative of that. So if you're joining us from the Old Arbor Facebook group, welcome. If you're joining from my Facebook page or from the YouTube channel, welcome. And if you're watching the rebroadcast, thank you for making it the Serenity Resource Connector or public education program. We go live weekly on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, having conversations with representatives from various government entities and other service providers as we seek to empower our citizens. And just to remind those who are joining live that you can share your questions, your comments in the comment section throughout the discussion. And for those who have questions, we will answer them live. So thank you again for joining us. And we will get started with our representative from the Tax Administration Department. And for those who joined us before, you'll remember Disha Barrett. She's back with us. Disha, are you hearing? All right, there seems to be some technical challenge. So while we get that sorted out, let's take the promo again to see, as we say, thanks to the different persons who partnered to make this program possible. And hopefully our tax education team will be ready for us. Let's try this again. Ms. Barrett, are you hearing us now? Still experiencing some challenges there. All right. See Claverton joining. Welcome, Claverton. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here each week. All right, we're going to get the conversation started. So let's get our team from the National Housing Trust connected. But while we do all of that, just in case you missed the previous episodes, we started out by looking at things you're to consider before starting a business. And we had conversations with representatives from the municipal corporation as well as the Ministry of Health, looking at some of the license you'll need before you head to the company's office to register your business, depending on the nature of your business. And as mentioned earlier, we had conversations with the company's office looking at the different ways in which you can register your business and what you need to consider when you are deciding on how to register your business and what it is that you need to do after you register. And we noted that for the business name registration, you renew every 3 years, and you can add additional branches and in terms of the company. And just in case you missed it, I learned something new last week that for your children who want to go in business, they can actually register a company, right? So they can set up a company. They don't have to wait until 18. 18 is for business name registration, but they can set up a company and get their legacy started. So while the tax teams gets their things sorted out, I'm gonna invite on Dennis Simpson from the National Housing Trust so we can get the compliance side of the statutory compliance side of the conversation going. And we are hoping that the tax education unit will have their connection sorted out by that time. So Dennis, are you ready to join me in this virtual space? Welcome.
Hi, Miss Peter. How are you? You're seeing me and hearing me, right?
Seeing you and hearing you quite clear. It's great to have you. And I see
Good.
that Kevin Facey has joined you as well.
Yes, and you are still seeing me and hearing me, right?
Yes, we are. You can bring back the camera a little to Kevin so we can get him in the frame. Right. Perfect.
All right, so we can get
All
off the ground
right.
then.
So let's get the conversation started. So we're talking about the how and the why of statutory compliance, or we can start with the why and then the how.
Actually, I had actually set up my presentation in a particular way. At the same time, it will capture all of what you have requested. So if you don't
Okay.
mind, we can just move right into it.
All right. Go right ahead and share.
All right. A very pleasant afternoon to everyone joining online. Before I start, I just want to thank the participants for giving up their time, today to attend this seminar to listen to information being presented. It will be beneficial to you as you embark or continue on your professional journey, whether as a self-employed individual or as a business operator. Let me also use this opportunity to thank the host and founder of this organization, um, Ms. Winsome Witter. Special greeting also to any other statutory bodies joining online at the moment. I am seeing my good friend Miss Barrett from the tax administration, and I greet her and all who are listening now. My name is Dennis Simpson. I'm employed to the National Housing Trust. I've been here for 16 years. I have worked as an art trainee for a year. Then I do 2 years as a compliance clerk. I did 11 years as a compliance officer. I am currently a compliance inspector for the past 3 years, and I have acted as compliance legal officer and also as compliance manager on a few occasions. I also have here with me Mr. Kevin Facey. He's a loans officer. He's from the loans department. and he has been with NHT for more than 20 years. A bit about the NHT. The NHT was established in 1976 by the then government. This idea came about after the government recognized another country with a system where deductions were made from employees and employers and even self-employed persons. And it was pulled into a trust fund that was used to develop housing. Since that time, the NHT has grown into a household name, and many persons are now homeowners after the NHT has made this a reality. Persons are now using the NHT National Housing Trust as an avenue or a medium to accomplish their dreams of owning a home. Of the many departments that the NHT, that's in the NHT, one of them is the compliance department. And today I'll be speaking with you as it relates to compliance related issues, how to remain compliant among many other things. Before compliance comes, this would mean that this would have been that you are an employer or a self-employed person, whether you're a barber, cosmetologist, shop operator, taxi operator, restaurant operator, or even a small business operator, and so on. One of the many responsibilities of the compliance department is to ensure you remain compliant and make your payments on time. Apart from that, and before we get to that point, there are other important things that you need to that needs to be done by a self-employed individual and also by our employers. Importance of keeping records as a self-employed individual or as a business operator. So it's very important for you to keep proper records, right? Because record assists you to know how your business is doing. It's faster, improve knowledge of the various areas of your operation. It is essential in preparing financial statement. It helps in preparing your tax return, provide ready information for potential investors in your business, required when you are to get a bank loan. So in case you need to acquire a bank loan and so forth, it is very important for you to have good records. Type of items to include on your records in terms of record keeping, sales, purchases, utility bill, wages, transportation costs, cleaning and sanitization, rent, and so forth. It is important to note that only expenses that are incurred in making the income of the business will be allowed to be treated as an expense for that business. Ms. Witter, just confirming you're still hearing me clearly, right?
Yes, we are
All
hearing
right,
you clearly.
excellent, excellent. Moving along quickly. Types of return. We're still in compliance. As it relates to compliance, as a self-employed person or as a company, you will need to file returns. So as a result of that, I'll be looking at a few types of return. It is possible that well, some of the stuff that I'm touching on, Miss Bishop Barrett from the tax office, it is possible that she might touch on a few because we work closely and we might have a few similar areas. It's possible. So as an employer now, we have what is called a SO1, right? This is due monthly. This return contains all the employees for each month. This would contain employees' NIs, TRN, names, gross income. This is due at the end of the month. But you have until 14 days in the following month to file for any particular month. Then we have the SO2. This is due annually. This return contains all the employers for the year. This will contain their NIS, also TRN names and gross income, and how long they have worked with the business for that particular year. This is filed at the end of each year, but you have until March 15 of the following year to file that annual return. Now we move on to self-employed persons. So self-employed persons do two types of filing, right? One, we have the SO4A. This is an estimate declaration of what you expect to earn for the present year. This is due by March 15 for each year. We also have the SO4. This is your annual filing which captures all your business-related expenses and income. It should be filed by the 15th of March for the previous year. As record keeping was pointed out earlier, it is at this point you will see the one of the main purpose and importance of good documentation and record keeping. We must note, we must be need to note briefly Late filing will result in penalties and interest being calculated on your account. Also, there is a $5,000 charge for each month the return is outstanding for each year. Return that is due, that is. We have some tax rates as it relates to the different percentages. For self-employed persons, NHT would be 3%, NIS would be 6%, education tax would be 2.25%, and income tax would be 25%. On that is on income above 1.5 million. For employees, employees will pay NHT 2%, NIS 3%, education tax 2.25%, and income tax 25% on income above 1.5. Now, employers also have a role also, and as such, there are taxes that they have to pay. There are certain percentages that they have to match to the employee's income. So for NHT, it's 3% for them, NI is 3%, education tax, that's 3.5, and for Archos, it is 3%. Benefits of keeping payment up to date. Now, if your payments are up to date, you can acquire what we call a clearance letter from the National Housing Trust. This will aid you in acquiring your tax compliance certificate or TCC. This is important to conduct many businesses. You need a bank loan and so forth. It will also allow you to qualify for your NHT loan or mortgage. So it's very important that you keep your payment up to date and on time. You can also acquire your contribution refund with interest once you will have made your payment. Finally, this will create ease of doing business with the NHT and other entities. Now, depending on the business, right? How the business pay the employees. When the deductions are made, whether weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, they are to be this is to be secured to put away at the end of the month. What I'm looking at now is how to remain compliant, right? So one of the topics that we will be covering today is how to remain compliant. So as I was saying earlier, so depending on the business, how the business pay the employees, right? Whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, these are to be securely put away. So when these deductions are made from the employee's salary, the employers are supposed to put this away, right, until the end of the month. When all the deductions are made and the company pays their matching percentage, they make the payment at the soonest possible time at any Inland Revenue Department, which is the same place we call tax office, before the funds are pumped into other areas. I we know based on the atmosphere now, funds are needed in various areas. And as such, as soon as the month end come, you need to pay those taxes because you don't want to utilize those money elsewhere. It's all about discipline, right? Also, we won't fool ourselves. We're living in a rough time and a tough season, and funds are difficult to come by. A lot of businesses are impacted negatively as a result of the global, pandemic COVID-19. It would be wise to plan ahead. If you decide to set up a business, it would be wise to budget, right? To budget cash to cover 6 months expenses. Some of these expenses would have included rent, light, water, salary, wages, statutory deduction, taxes, right? Self-employed persons are to make their payments on a quarterly basis at the tax office. We're still talking about how to remain compliant, right? Payments are due 4 times for the year: March, June, September, and December, 4 quarters in the year. If you're unable to put away or save up your 3 months payment, the tax office will take your payment on a monthly basis also. So for example, if you're supposed to pay 3,000 per quarter and you find it difficult that when it comes to the end of the quarter, you use up that money already. What you could do, you could pay it month by month, pay $1,000 per month if that works better for you. Or if you're in a position to pay for 6 months or for the entire year, it is best to do so to remain compliant and avoid interest and penalties for late filing and payment. A lot of persons also make the payment at the end of the year. Unless you're in a position to pay the penalty and interest, and I would not recommend this option. Failure to remain compliant. This will result in the NHT taking the necessary actions or steps. which includes taking you to court if necessary, taking you to court if necessary to recover all outstanding liabilities. It must be pointed out, right, that the NHC contribution is a tax, right? We call it contribution, but it is a tax, and you are required by law to pay once you are between the ages of 18 to 65 and earning at least the minimum wage. Currently, the minimum wage is 7,000 per week. Even though there are several benefits you can acquire when you pay the NHC, which include contribution refunds, loans to buy land, house, clean units, solar water heater, solar panel, among many other things. In closing, I just want to thank you for listening, right? And for any additional information, you can visit our office at the Glenmore Business Complex on Manchester Avenue in Maypen, Clarendon, or you can call the office 986 2051. That's 876-986-2051 or 876-986-9552. Special thanks to Ms. Winston Witter for inviting us to participate today in today's session. We are looking forward to these opportunities to educate our contributors and potential contributors. I'm not sure if there are any questions or loan-related questions for Mr. Facey, or is it that Ms. Peter would want Mr. Facey, to give a summary of his department? He's in the new loan department. He's also connected to customer service, very important also in the organization. We're in two separate departments, but we work along each other. Thank you for listening. Ms. Peter, it's up to you, and what is the next step?
All right. So we're going to check the connection with our guest from the tax education unit, and not seeing any question at this time. Just to remind those who are viewing live that you can put your question in the comments and we will respond to them. All right, so let's check with Disha Needham from Barrett from the tax education unit, and if we are still having challenges, then we're going to take Mr. Facey to go through some of the other details. But let's check with Miss Barrett first, and then we get back to you at NHT. Thank you so much. It's always great to have you in this space. And it appears that Miss Barrett is still having some challenges. So, Mr. Facey, tell us some, because I'm sure there are a number of. But before we go to Mr. Facey, there's something I want you to clarify. Either of you should be able to clarify in terms of self-employed, because there is some are you still with me? Can you join me back on screen?
Yeah,
Thank
sorry
you.
about that. We're still with you.
Okay, no problem. All right, there's recognize that they're actually self-employed. So can you give us a list of some of the persons that you have dealt with that would be fall in that category? So there might be others who are actually self-employed that don't know that they're self-employed. So if you could share.
All right. So
Yes.
self-employed covers it's a wide area, right? You can be a cosmetologist, you can be a barber, you can be a taxi operator, you can be a shop operator, you can be a farmer, you can be a fisherman, you can even be a domestic worker, you can be even work at the embassy, the consulate. There are various. As long as you're not working with a company that does the deduction from your salary, right? And you are
Right.
the you're earning a weekly income of at least the minimum wage, at least 7,000 a week or more, and you are between the age of 18 to 65, even above 65. But for 18 to 65, you are required to contribute to NHG and you are deemed as a self-employed person. So what is important, as long as you're not employed to a company that is taking the deduction from your salary, because you can be working for a company and you are responsible to pay it on your own. But once you're not with a company that is making the deduction, you're earning at least the minimum wage, you are indeed a self-employed person.
Like some security company. Also.
Right. So that is very important because I'm not sure a lot of domestic help us recognize that they're actually self-employed,
Yes, indeed they
and
are.
there are a number of companies, some small mid-sized companies, who take on what they call contract workers, and they tell them that they're responsible for making their own deduction, but they really don't know what that is supposed to mean. Can you assist, provide some guidance for the domestic helpers, though they might be working maybe with uh, a dressmaker, they're helping out so they don't deduct taxes, so they tell them they need to make their own payments. How can you guide those
Yes,
category of
all
workers?
thank you for those questions, Ms. Vita. All of those persons are you those listed are self-employed persons, and those persons
Right.
can indeed visit they can visit the tax office or the NHT, and we can guide them as it relates to how they register and sign up as a self-employed person. You also touch a point that is important. You might be working with a small establishment, right? And
Right.
they have you on contract. A lot of companies they misunderstand what is deemed as a contract, right? Because a lot of persons they think that they're contract workers, but they're not. They're really employees, right? And as
Right.
long as you're supervised, right, on the job, as long as you don't provide the necessary tools on your own, right? As long as you don't receive any form of like benefits, right? So once you receive no benefits, once you have to provide your own tools, right? Once you're not supervised, then you are a contract worker. But if you're supervised, if you don't, your tools are provided by the company, right? If you receive benefits, you are an employee. Whether you receive a letter from the company indicating that you are a contractor or not, you are indeed an employee. And for
Right.
cases those persons having difficulties, they can come to us, the compliance department, and we can intervene secretly. I would don't want to put
Right.
them to our work at risk.
Yes, because that's part of the whole purpose of this program. Because there are a number of individuals who have not been benefiting from the NHT benefits and other benefits through the national insurance scheme and others, because of this same thing, because there's this misconception as it relates to employee contract worker, and they believe that they're actually benefiting when they get cash in hand and no deduction is made. So we want to guide those persons to let them understand, which is why the program is dubbed this way, the how and the why. Why is it that you need to ensure that your employer is making a deduction and paying over? And if you're self employed, why is it important for you to be doing the deductions and paying it over? So you can access the benefits. So if you're able to add something else
Well,
to that.
I would have covered, in summary, most of our compliance does. As always, once there are any queries, any questions, indicated or person can reach me. We are on Manchester Avenue in Maypen. You can call us 986-2051, 986-9552. We will have covered most of compliance. Other important areas would be the surface as it relates to loans and customer service.
All right. And would
Because
you
after
happen to
you,
have,
because
sorry, go ahead.
after you would have passed my era, make your contribution, paying for 1 year, and you are ready to apply for your benefit, you would now move over to Mr. Facey, and he would guide you from there.
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna do the handover to Mr. Facey. But just before you hand over to Mr. Facey, do you have the location for the St. Catherine Spanish Town office? Because we have some persons connected from St. Catherine.
We are located in Twickenham Park,
Twickenham. Okay.
right? Twickenham Park, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. That is opposite the RGD office.
Okay. Well, great landmark. They should be able to locate it there.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
But any office, just to add, any office that you want to get to, you can just call the major line 929-6500 to 9, and they can transfer you to any branch that you want. They can give you the address and so forth. Sometimes it's easier to do it that way. because calling the branch number, you might be, you know, not getting through, it might be busy, or you can't get through to the number. But once you call the main office, it
Right.
directs you, asks you if you know your party's number, so forth, or the department you wish to speak to, then you can just go ahead and do it yourself. So it's easier that way as well. So if persons are having challenge in reaching the branch, they can call that way.
Okay. Great. All right, that's a great way to segue into your
Yes.
area, Mr. Facey, because you know the NHT team has the customer service experience down pat. So tell us what exactly you do other than deliver excellent customer
Customer
service.
service.
Yes.
Well, we are privileged to work for the best organization in Jamaica, the National Housing Trust. And I say that with no reservation because a lot of person don't understand that the National Housing Trust, the trust that each employee in Jamaica contributes to, is actually a savings account. So everybody that contributes to the NHT, you can receive your money in returns with interest, even if you have benefited from the NHT. So it's really a savings account, right? The
Right.
NHT, the NHT gives you the lowest. Right now, most of our contributors don't pay us back interest when they receive a mortgage because our mortgages, if you earn an income between 15,000 or 7,000 and 30,000 per week, you don't pay interest. 7,000 to 30,000 per week, you don't pay interest back on your mortgage. I mean, I've never heard of that before. All right.
That's really great.
Yeah, man, it is wonderful. The
Yes.
NHE offer a lot of benefits, and we offer 5 or 6 types of loans. We have what we call an open market loan, meaning somebody is seeing a property on the open market, whether it be a land or a house, and they want to purchase, they can approach us once they have contributed for 52 weeks in the past and they are currently contributing, then they're eligible to receive that benefit. So one individual can receive up to a maximum of 6.5 to purchase a house, and only 2 persons can co-apply to receive a maximum of 13 million, 13 each to purchase a house. So if those 2 persons want to buy land first, then what they could do, they will receive 2.5 each to buy the land. So that's 5 million. And the difference they will build. Okay.
Right.
If you have land before or you have a house before, you can still benefit. So if you have land, you can get the total amount of the 6.5 if you're qualified for that to build on that land. All right. And we
Awesome.
use lands that have a registered title, residential property. Okay.
Right. So definitely have to have the registered title. So for those who are looking to purchase land, they have to ensure that there's a registered title available to do what you call the open market. Is that the category open market?
For title, yes,
To
man. Open
purchase on
market.
the open market,
Right.
they must have a title.
Right.
Right. So the cost might sound a bit low, but once it doesn't have a title, just make sure you check to ensure there's a title available, because otherwise the NHC will not be able to support you, and you want to take advantage of that interest free, because a number of our self-employed individuals would fall in that category for the zero interest.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to ensure that they're able to. And just to reiterate some of the things that they need to pay attention to in terms of being eligible to access those facilities for the self-employed specifically.
All right. So remember, Mr. Sims have indicated that if you're self-employed, you need to get yourself registered first of all. So you will go to the tax office and they will indicate, or even the NHT, and you do up
Right.
here what you call a SO4, which is an estimate of your income, and then you start to contribute. So after 1 year of contribution, then you are now eligible to receive a benefit. The
Right.
amount that you earn already clears your income, and your age will always determine the amount that you can get. So some persons sometimes think that everybody can get the full 6.5. But when they come in now, they recognize that
Yes.
based on their age or their income, they're not able to get the full amount. So I
Right. All
want
right. Those
person
are
to be
some of the
clear
little
about that.
intricacies I want you to focus on.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
right.
Some of the what I want to you to bring out some of the areas that you see persons come in and you have not been able to grant them the facility because they some of those little nuances we want to identify to help persons understand how they can deal with it before they come to you.
Okay. Well, the good thing about the NHC though is that we don't deny anybody a benefit. Once you have the 52 weeks contribution, you cannot deny a benefit. Um, some of the things that you want to know though is that the documents that we ask for, the names must be consistent on each document. So you need an NIS card, a TRN card, your your ID, whether that be a driver's license, national ID, or passport. They must reconcile with your birth certificate. So your birth certificate is like the gospel. So for argument's sake, if I come in and my birth certificate say I am Kevin Facey, right? But
Right.
on my document I am Kevin Tracy. So that need to be reconciled. So that's very important as well. All right. Also the
Right.
NIS card, it might say the birth paper might say about 1974, but on the NIS card it says 75. I mean that need to be reconciled. But those things happen. So
Yes.
name discrepancies, and in terms of the age, those are the discrepancies. But those are
Okay.
most of the things that hinder persons from being able to be processed. But as I said, once you're qualified, you are never denied. It's just the amount that you can receive to get your benefit.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Um, that that brings us nicely to our family and friends in the diaspora. For those who are working outside, how can they benefit from
Excellent.
yes, how can they
Excellent
benefit?
question. So the first thing that diaspora need to do is to contact the NHT, the compliance department, where Mr. Simpson is, because they can now register as a voluntary contributor. So a voluntary contributor and a self-employed contributor is similar. But the difference with both of them now is that for you to be a voluntary contributor, you would have to have either a passport, a green card, or a permanent residency card for the country where you reside. If you don't
Okay.
have any of those, you're going to register as a regular local self-employed. All right. So for
Right.
the person diaspora, you need your NIS card, your TRN, two ID, and your birth certificate. Those are the five items you need, and you can register and start contributing. For persons who are voluntary, meaning that they are a permanent resident in another country, if you have never contributed before, when you start, you will have to wait 2 years before you are qualified. But for persons now who are living in the diaspora who is contributing as a regular self-employed, they will still just contribute for 52 weeks to become
Right.
qualified. But they are still considered locals because they don't have any ideas. All right.
Okay. So once
Yeah.
they were born in Jamaica, they have assumed citizenship in another jurisdiction, whether in the Caribbean, the US, wherever it is. They just
Right.
need to provide those documents. Do they have to
Correct.
come in person, or can they register their documents to? How does it work?
All right. Well, what they can do is they can contact the compliance department or the NHC in general and we'll send them what we call a checklist via email. They'll
Right.
fill out those forms and they'll return it to us, and they can send the originals. So they can be
Okay.
registered from where they are. They just maybe need to have a local contact person um, to do the registration on their behalf.
Okay. So they can't send directly to you. They need an intermediary that's local to take care of it for them.
Yes, they can send directly to us, now, but they're going to need somebody in Jamaica to be able
Right.
to do those initial payments and registration for them. Am I correct, Mr. Simpson? Voluntary contributors talking
Volunteer
about.
contributor, in terms of those persons getting registered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can authorize somebody to take in those documents
Okay.
for
So
them.
they need like an agent, a local agent to
Not
support that.
right, not necessarily an agent, but anyone, as long as they
Okay.
authorize the person. The letter should be signed by a JP or overseas, a notary, thus advising that they're giving this person permission to conduct any business for them.
Okay. Shift your
Right.
camera a bit so we can see you. Great.
Yes, and anyone who is online, or anyone know of anyone overseas who wants to register with the NHD as a voluntary contributor, because if you are a resident or a citizen overseas, or you are working in one of the CARICOM countries, you are deemed as a voluntary contributor, and you can indeed register with the NHD and make a payment to us, and you'll be qualified also after 2 years. But if you're contributing to the NHD before for 1 year, it will take you 1 year. You can get the names of those persons. They can call. Once they call me and I get their email, I send them the relevant documents, and then I will work with them from there.
Okay. So if they were not self-employed before, so they used to work and earn an income before
Yeah,
they migrated, and they would have contributed a year or more.
yeah.
So they would be in a position to continue their voluntary contribution for at least a year before they access the benefit. Is that so?
Yes, so
Correct.
once they get back on stream within 1 year time, and whatever you have contributed before, it has not gone anywhere. It is still here on our system for you. So it's just a continuation on what you have before. So it's not like it's deleted or erased. It is there.
All right. So I trust my viewers in the diaspora are hearing that. So not because you are off the island, you can still own a piece of property on the
Yeah.
rock, because this is home sweet home here in
Yes.
Jamaica. So you can take advantage of that. And we talked about it last week that you can still register and own a business here in Jamaica once you have the people to run it for you and make sure that everything is taken care of. You can still do that. All right.
And let me just point out two things quickly, Miss Peter. I'm not sure if it's a face I've got to it. If it's a case, we're living in one of those coal areas, like Coleyville or Mandeville. We do also offer solar water heater. And if it's a case where you find it difficult to manage JPS, we also offer loan for solar panel. That is still Mr. Facey baby. So you can take on those customers and pass them on to us. We are here ready to serve them.
All right. So I trust you heard that. So whether you're in the cool parts of the island and you need to get your heater, but even persons outside of those areas use heater,
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes, because when it gets to a certain time of the year,
Yeah.
or maybe
yes,
even
yes.
some of our visitors from the diaspora comes to visit and they're accustomed to their warm water. So it's always great to have that facility available. And then you're saying that the solar panel to help for those who live in the hot areas or the hotter areas of the island to get the solar panel so you can manage the bill for the AC.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Right.
All right. Trust you heard that. Any arrangement for with any of those big conglomerates in terms of AC units, or those go by too quickly with the where the NHT is concerned?
I'm on noise.
No, no,
No, so
no.
just the
The staff,
heavier
right?
expenses.
Yes,
All right.
right.
All right, but that helps. That helps, right? So you have shared a whole lot, and some of those little areas is the little areas that we really need to get out there, because those are the some of the challenges why our citizens aren't able to take better advantage of the
And
options that are available
I know that
and to
is
be
so.
remain compliant too.
That is so true, Miss Peter, because there are those taxi operators, there are those barbers, those farmers, those gardeners, those domestic workers. They think you have to be in a jacket and tie. You have to be in the bank,
Yeah.
to own a piece of the rock, to come to
That's
the
it.
NHT. It is leveled. It is simple. It's one step process. Once you're contributing for 1 year, whether through employed purpose or self-employed purpose, you are overseas, you can acquire your benefit, your loan, your mortgage, just like anyone else.
Right. Right. And I like to identify some of the category of self-employed that are sometimes forgotten, like those who work on a construction site,
Right? Masons, laborers.
masons, tilers, right? Let them understand, and even those who do the jerk.
Right. Let me just nail it out for them, Miss Peter. As
Yes,
long as you are working, not working with a company that is making the deduction for your salary, as long as outside of that you are working legally on your own, right? Earning at least the minimum wage, which is 7,000 per week, you can contribute to the NHT and you can acquire a benefit just like anyone else.
that's it, and become a part of a pension scheme as well.
You can look at
So
it similar like that also.
yes, right. So there are different options. Uh, or guest from the tax administration. Let's see if we can get her in now. Don't go anywhere, Team NHT, just in case there are any final. We want to do a final wrap up at the end. We have still have some more time within the hour,
Yeah.
so stay with us.
All right, thank you. We're
All
still here. We're
right,
just going to mute our mics and camera, but we're still here, ready now, whistling.
all right, awesome. Thank you. Let's see what's going on. Disha, are you hearing now? Oh, but we're not hearing you. No, not hearing you at all. And your audio is connected, your microphone is connected. I really wanted to get the tax education side of the conversation going because I know a number of our entrepreneurs and self employed need some guidance. All right, while we're doing that, Disha, uh, let me see how best I can support the team at. Just a moment. Let's see how best I can support the team so we can get some of that information out. All right, so there is a presentation. So I'm going to bring it on screen. And Disha, we're going to have to work closely together. That's why I call it collaboration. We're going to do some teamwork. Let's do some teamwork. Let's let's see. Cancel. That's not what I want. Let's go. All right, so we have some guidance for new business. I trust we are all seeing this information. Let's see how best we can navigate here. All right, so let's see how well I can do to share this information from our team at the tax office. So the objectives to briefly introduce the different business structures in Jamaica and their registration requirements, to provide an understanding of the general principles of the Jamaican taxation system, specifically in the areas of the tax obligations, proper record keeping, and tax-related expectations and obligations. All right, and our outline to introduce participants to the different types of business structure and registration requirements, to provide information about relevant tax obligations, contributions, due dates, and consequences of late and non-submission, the benefits of proper record keeping, rights and obligations. And then we're looking at the types of business structure. So we have the sole proprietorship, partnership, and company, as our team from the company's office noted last episode. Sources of income, whether by trade, business, profession, or vocation. Example, a minibus or taxi service. You sell vegetable or poultry and livestock farming, shop operations, and the list goes on. If you collect revenue from rental of commercial and residential property, employment and office, that's your sources of income. If you have investment and other sources, example, interest from banks, dividends from shares held in companies, etc., and any income from outside the island. So here are the deductions allowed for tax purposes. You have wages and salaries for your staff, rental paid for commercial premises, interest paid towards your bank loans or overdrafts used for business purposes. Take note of that. Utilities, your electricity, your water, telephone, etc. Your trade or business license. We're still talking about deductions that are allowed. Insurance against fire or theft. Transportation or motor vehicle expenses incurred in relation to businesses carried out for the on behalf of your organization. Any other business expenses wholly incurred in acquiring the business income. All right, so we're going to look now at taxes and contributions that may be applicable to your business. So here are the types and contributions. So you have your income tax or your PAYE. So your income tax for self-employed, for businesses, PAYE if you are employed. And then for some, it's both income tax and PAYE because there are some persons who are employed and self-employed at the same time, right? Or you might be earning more than one income. I asked a question in the previous episode. If you missed it, go back so you can get an example of what we're talking about there. Then you have education tax, general consumption tax, retail trade license, national housing trust, which we shared about earlier, national insurance scheme. Then you have your payroll taxes, which includes NIS, NHT, education tax, HART, and PAYE. And you also have withholding taxes, example, contractors levy. So here are some of the income tax returns. So one, you have your SO4 and SO4A. Those are the self-employed returns. SO4A is for partners. ITO2, your corporate income tax return. That's for those registered as companies. ITO3, that's your partnership income tax returns. And you have your ITO5, employed or directors whose only source of income is from his company. Right? So for those directors whose source of income is only from their company, this is the return that's filed for them. which is separate from the income tax that's filed for the company. Disha, you can send me a note to let me know if I am relaying the information correctly. And all income tax returns must, and you see it in bold letters and underlined, must be filed online. All right. Here are the rates and contributions for self-employed. So for income tax, 25% basis of calculation, your statutory income up to 6 million less income tax, nil rate. Let's see what's going on down here. All right. And then amounts in excess of 6 million is taxed at 30%. Education tax 2.25%. Statutory on your statutory income. NIS 6%. We're talking about self-employed contributions. Earnings from your self-employed, which is subject to NIS up to the wage ceiling. NHT 5% statutory from on your statutory income. And what is your statutory income? It's your total income less your allowable deductions and exemptions. For example, your NIS and capital allowance. And we talked about the allowable deductions earlier. Your payroll taxes and deductions. All right, so we looked at the self-employed before. Now for the payroll taxes. All right. For the payroll taxes, we're looking at NIS. And remember, for payroll taxes, the employee makes a contribution. The employer also makes a contribution. Some years ago, it was matching contribution, but there are some differences now with the education tax. So for the NIS, employee contributes 3%, the employer 3%, and that's calculated on the gross emoluments. That is the total earnings before any deductions. Your NHT employee contribution 2%, employer 3%, and that's also on the gross. Education tax 2.25% contribution by the employee, 3.5% for the employer, and that's on your statutory deduction. And you soon hear what that is all about. PAYE 25%, right? That's contribution by the employee. And we're going to see what this 30% is about in a little while. So the statutory income less your income tax threshold is what the PAYE is calculated on. Your HEART contribution is by the employer, and that's on the gross taxable payroll if the employer's payroll cost exceeds 173,328 Jamaican dollars per annum, right? We look at GCT, the general consumption tax. This is a value added tax which is based on the passed on to the consumer. So every person who carries on a taxable activity and whose gross income, that's before your deductions, is equal to or more than $10 million per annum, that's per year, is required to be registered for GCT. So once you start earning that 10 million rather per year, you're required to register for GCT. And in the case of persons involved in retail selling of motor vehicles, annual sales requirement of 10 million does not apply, as sales invoice reflecting or charging GCT must be issued to customers and TAJ, that's the Tax Administration of Jamaica. Right? So those who are selling motor vehicles, this 10 million threshold does not apply. Here are some benefits of proper record keeping. The team from NHT mentioned that before, so you know important record keeping is, and we're going to do a session specifically on record keeping. So one, proper books and records may help you to get a loan from banks, lending agencies, and other creditors. Two, your record will keep you better informed about the financial position of your business. You can't know what's going on in your business unless you have it properly documented and you're not able to take practical, prudent decisions without those figures. Three, well kept records can mean tax savings, and I'm sure we all love that, as it can be used as a reminder of deductible expenses and credits. Four, good records can verify all your business expenses for tax audit purposes. Five, well kept records may shorten the length of time a tax audit takes to be completed. And where the audit can be done at any point once your business, your operation is selected for an audit. All right, Disha, please send me a reminder as to the period that we need to keep those records for. Here's a sample purchase record. Outlines the date. So if you don't have a system in place, here's a sample. Outlines the date, the supplier, the description of the purchase, because you want to know, record what it is that you are paying for, what the total is. If there's GCT, you document that separate because you want to have that information for your filing. And then you have your total, which is the gross payment that you made. Here are some basic rights and obligations. So the taxpayer has the right to be informed, assisted, and heard, right? You have the right to be informed, assisted, and heard, and we here at the Serenity Resource Connector are assisting with that aspect of it, being informed. Two, you have the right to appeal. So if there are calculations that are passed on to you and your records are indicating otherwise, you have the right to appeal. And the compliance team, they're very good to work with. So if you're not sure, you can always contact them to get the clarification. The education unit does that very well. Three, pay no more than the amount due. So that's a right. All right. And you have the right to certainty. So if you're not clear, you have the right to seek clarification. You have the right to confidentiality and secrecy. So the information that you pass on to the tax office must remain between you and the tax authority. So, of course, with the rights comes responsibilities, right? So the THA's expectations of us as taxpayers is for us to be honest, right? Because we are self-reporting, we are maintaining the records. So they expect us to be honest, be cooperative, provide accurate information, submit documents, and pay on time, right? And the only way you can provide accurate information is if you have the proper record keeping systems in place. And four, keep records for 6 years. All right, it's right here. All right, so you're to keep your records for 6 years. So ensure that you have a safe place in which you store your records. And some of those receipts, we know they don't last for long. So please ensure that you scan, copy those information so you can store it in electronic format where necessary. All right. And our friends at the TAJ have a friendly reminder here. All right. So general filing guidelines. All income tax returns, final and estimated, are due by March 15th. Late filing attracts a penalty of $5,000 for every month return is outstanding. So you want to start getting your paperwork in order as you close out 2021 so that you can be prepared and filing on time to avoid this penalty. There's mandatory online filing required for all income tax returns, the different business structures, GCT and payroll taxes and contributions. The employer's annual return SO2 due March 31 of each year. The employer's monthly statutory payments SO1 due by 14th of each month. All right, our team at NHG would have mentioned some of these before, except for the income tax. And where it is that you have incurred penalties for previous year, don't just sit on it, please. Contact your local tax authority and get some guidance in how you can have it sorted out. All right. So that is the presentation from our team at the TAJ. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right. So that's how we do here at Serenity Resource Connector. Yes. The important thing is for you to get the information. So if there's anything that was shared that you're not clear on, please post in the comment if you're here with us live, and we will provide you with some clarifications on that. So we went through a long list and we see that the team at the NHT and the tax administration office, they are singing the same song because they work closely together. And all the payments are, it's so convenient now. You pay everything through the tax office. All right. I'm so sorry that we're not able to hear you, Disha, because there are some questions that I would love to ask. So you could share, but we'll have other opportunities where you can come back. I know that all that was shared was quite a bit, but the beauty about it is that you can go back to the replay, pause, and you can listen, and anything you're not too clear on, you can see clarity from our team at NHT or the tax administration. And I must say that tax administration of Jamaica has come a far way. They're far more accommodating now than in previous years. So feel free to reach out to the tax education team. And if it's a stage where you need to talk to someone in compliance at either the National Housing Trust or the tax authority, please do so. Right? Sitting around and looking at those figures is not going to solve the problem. Reach out for help. All right. So we have given you the basic framework, some of the things that you need to look at, how you can get started right. If you have already started and you have some gray areas that you need to get fixed up, reach out for help. All right. Let's bring back on the team from NHT for some final words. Disha, feel free to send me a note with any final thoughts, and I'll be happy to relay that information for you. We are doing it together. All right. Team NHT, let's have you back in the conversation.
Yes, thank you, Miss Peter. We're here again. I'm really sorry I couldn't get a chance to hear Miss Barrett. Really a good friend of mine, and I know she have a wealth
Yes,
of knowledge to share.
indeed.
Nevertheless, you did excellent in presenting on the slides.
Thank you. Yes, but I know, oh, you have two devices there.
Yes, sorry about that. But please
Okay.
thank you, Ms. Witter, for allowing us to be a part of your presentation today. Myself and Mr. Facey, we really feel proud to share the information and the wealth of knowledge. I would have spoke about compliance and the contribution in terms of how you can, become a member, whether you're self-employed, whether you're overseas. I spoke about employees and so forth. And
Right.
Mr. Facey spoke about loans or to become qualified and such the like. It was indeed our pleasure. We hope that we can do this again. Person
Let,
know how to get to us. Once they get to Miss Witter, they can reach us. If not, they can call our head office, as Mr. Face indicated,
right.
876-929-6500. You can be transferred from there to anywhere, or you can indeed contact the Maple office, 876-986-2051 or 986-9552. I'm in the compliance department. I'm Dennis Simpson. Mr. Face is in the new loans department. You can come, you can ask for any one of us. We are located on Manchester Avenue in Maypen. It's indeed our pleasure, and we are happy. We are very happy to share. God bless you all.
Man.
Awesome. It's really great. It's really great to share space with you all, albeit virtually. But the beauty about it is that we're able to reach even more people through the virtual space. And even after we finish this conversation today, the
Anytime, Mike.
information will be there so it can be shared. And so I must thank the different groups in Clarendon who have been sharing the information through the Lay Magistrate Association, the Justices of the Peace. We have the Parish Development Committee sharing with their different development area committee leaders and being passed on to the different communities in Clarendon. So please feel free if you want to share the rebroadcast in your different community groups. That's quite okay. We welcome you sharing so other persons can get access to the information so that they can see clarity so we can all grow together. All right. And just to continue in the teamwork, Disha, although we're not able to hear her, all right, so she wants us to be reminded that every year, as part of the THA's corporate social responsibility, they offer a special taxpayer program to assist with filing returns free of cost, right? So you're come with a summary of your tax information. Remember, record keeping is key because you can't have a summary if you don't have the records, okay? So get those records together, go with a summary of your information, and there are different locations and different dates with the COVID. Look out for the information. We're going to be sharing it on this program as well as we draw closer to that time as to the dates and how you can work out the logistics so we maintain the protocols as we help to keep the numbers down. All right. And the dates are also published on the tax website. That's www.jamaicatax.gov.jm or advertised via town crier in the different communities. So you're being encouraged to get registered for online service, and that can be done any day. And as a sole proprietor, all that is required is a valid email and valid identification for you to get registered online. All right. So that's it for us here on the Serenity Resource Connector for this week. Let me thank our team from the National Housing Trust. Always so awesome to have the team and see the teamwork come alive. And Miss Barrett from the Tax Administration Education Unit. My pleasure, Disha. We're communicating here. All right. It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure to serve and to share this information as we seek to empower each other. So we do this again, same time, same connection next week, where we continue the virtual hand holding. We are going to move into the other aspect of that. Congratulations letter from the company's office. Our team from the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office will be joining us to share on registering, securing your intellectual property rights. And I'm sure some of you are going to be so surprised to hear some of the things that you've been missing that you need to be paying attention to secure your rights. So thank you again, and remember, caring is sharing. So please share the information with your different groups and different individuals so that we can all grow together as we empower each other and improve the access to information. With these kind of channels, we should not be short on information. So let's do it together. Thank you once more, Team NHT, Team TAJ, as we bring the curtains down on this week and look forward to the next episode. God bless you and continue to stay safe. All right, let's do this.